In the freezing waters of the North Atlantic, NATO is quietly preparing for war, one they hope they never have to fight. It's the potential for war unlike any in modern history, one fought in the dark underwater depths, not with bombs or bullets, but with submarines, equipped with advanced technology capable of striking long before they're seen, where detecting them is like trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a hurricane. I was given the rare access to embed with the forces on the front lines. Over the next 3 days, I'll be taking you inside a German submarine, flying aboard a US Navy P-8 Poseidon, and sailing on a warship with the Royal Netherlands Navy. These are the waters of the Greenland-Iceland-UK Gap, one of the most strategically vital corridors on Earth. During the Cold War, it was the gateway for Soviet submarines trying to slip into the Atlantic. And today, with Russian sea activity on the rise once again, NATO isn't taking any chances. To prepare for that possibility, NATO is conducting a large-scale exercise known as Dynamic Mongoose, a 2-week operation where warships, submarines, and military aircraft from across the alliance converge off the coast of Iceland to train for one of the most complex missions in modern warfare: detecting and neutralizing enemy submarines.
This is really the cradle of anti-submarine warfare. We work with so many different partner nations.
And what we want to do is improve our defense posture.
This is a war game very few outsiders have ever witnessed, and a fight that NATO can't afford to lose.
There's always margin to improve, but at the end of the exercise, I want us to be brilliant.
This is the German Type 212 Alpha diesel-electric attack submarine, one of the most technologically advanced submarines in the world. Now, Germany has a long history of being a pioneer in submarine warfare, and dating back to the height of World War I and World War II, their groundbreaking U-boat technology led to the construction of over 1,500 submarines. And as you can see below me, they still use that same U designation, as this one is also known as the U-33. Now today the German fleet is much smaller, with just 6 submarines in active service, but these subs are known for both their stealth and maneuverability and are able to operate in shallow coastal waters while remaining virtually undetectable to the enemy. That's why the 212s were chosen for this exercise. They're the ideal adversary. They're quiet, they're agile, they're difficult to detect, making them the perfect player for both hunter and hunted.
Yeah, we are one of the most silent submarines in the world due to the fact that we are a conventional submarine. This submarine, U-33, is already 20 years old, but it's still one of the most modern non-nuclear submarines in the world. The general structure of a U-212 Alpha submarine is with a crew around about 30 people.
We have in total 23 beds on board. Like 80% of the crew, they have to share the bed. So that means the whole crew is divided into 2 watches, the starboard and the port watch. And we normally use the 6-hour shift. So that means the one guy is sleeping. So when he's waking up, you're just putting the sleeping bag away, takes the other one, and then prepare the bed for the second one. We have for 30 persons, 1 toilet, 1 shower. And we always have the 3 golden rules of driving submarine. That means the toilet is always warm, the towel is always wet, and the shower is also always wet. Driving submarine is really challenging. You don't have any privacy. You're being dived for at least 2, 3, or 4 weeks. You don't have any fresh air or things like that. You are not connected to your family. You don't know what is going on the other world. So yeah, it's like living in a box, in a covered box, and that's very challenging. Our limiting factor for staying at sea is actually the food. This is our main limiting factor. So it's not the energy, it's not the fuel or anything else. So we can stay at least up to 4 weeks, but then the food is very, very limited. The presence of a submarine is always a challenging point, and it makes everything different. So if you remember, like the Falkland War in the late 80s, just the presence of one and each single submarine changed the whole schedule of the maneuver or of the war. And it's the same here in the Geo Gap, due to the fact that we are always able to know where all the others, and we are able to provide informations regarding intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance
but nobody else knows where we are.
Now, it's important to recognize that none of this exercise would be possible without the alliance of NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was formed after World War II to protect and defend the shared interests of its member nations. Today, it includes 32 countries and stands as a unified front against threats to peace and stability, especially in the face of renewed Russian aggression. In this scenario, all of the participating countries work together to defend and protect the GI-UK gap. It's a stretch of ocean that forms a natural choke point between the Arctic and the North Atlantic, surrounding Greenland, Iceland, and the United Kingdom. During the Cold War, it was the constant flashpoint, with NATO forces monitoring Soviet submarines trying to slip through undetected. Today, it remains one of the most strategically important regions in the world. While it's not the only route Russian submarines can use to access the Atlantic or approach Europe, it's by far the most direct and heavily trafficked. In recent years, Russian submarine patrols in the North Atlantic have increased, both in frequency and sophistication. Their newest boats are quieter, faster, and capable of staying submerged longer. Some are believed to be mapping undersea cable routes, the very infrastructure that connects continents through data, finance, and communication, where severing even a few of those lines could paralyze the entire global banking system. Climate change has also added a whole new layer of complexity. As the Arctic sea ice melts, new shipping lanes are opening, especially during the summer months, that gives Russian submarines and surface vessels greater freedom to maneuver through the North Atlantic, that NATO must now monitor and protect.
Welcome to the CIC. That's actually the heart and the brain of the submarine, where most of the crew is working during the duty and the shift. So we have at this part our navigations department. We are still using paper charts for navigation. Sounds crazy, but it is. And of course we have the electronic sea chart as well. This is actually the tool the officers using it often, and we train for this a little bit.
And you're still physically looking through it? It's not just like a camera feed?
No. So the submarines from the second batch, so U-212 Alpha second batch, they have the possibility to film everything and to have a camera, because they have additional optronic mast. We don't have it. We have a normal periscope, let's say so. So here we are in the torpedo room. We have in total 6 torpedo tubes where you can put the torpedoes inside, and we can put 7 additional here in the torpedo storage behind you. So we are using the DM2A4, it's a heavyweight torpedo, and tube number 6 is a little bit modified. So we took out the inner part due to the fact that we can use it for the deployment of special operations forces. So we can put 4 Navy SEALs inside. Currently we have some garbage cans inside. But just to give you an imagination how deep and how long it is, so it's nearly like 8 meters up to the end. And for tube number 6, all these inner part is taken out.
And you said you can put people like SEALs in here.
Yeah. So the first one is going with the feet first, then the second is coming with the head first, due to the fact that they can help each other if they're struggling with the equipment. Then another 2, we just closing the tube, flood the tube, equalize the pressure, open the bow cap, and then they can swim out and do their operations, whatever they do. During the 2 weeks at Dynamic Mongoose and our participation, our aim is of course to give the others the opportunity to track and detect enemy submarine, and of course we want to train our capabilities as well. So we use every exercise and KSX therefore to improve our tactical behavior, and of course to avoid the detection by the surface ships, by the helicopters, and by the aircraft.
So your role for the week is to try to avoid detection from other aircraft, helicopters, unmanned underwater vehicles. What would you say is the most difficult platform to avoid?
The hardest one will be the helicopters, because we don't know where they're flying next and then the position they differ, so that makes them very hard for us.
So that's what I think the most unique part about Dynamic Mongoose is not only is their crew working together to try to remain undetected, but you've got everyone else here around us who's trying to hunt them down.
We're the most capable sub-hunting platform in the United States Navy. No one does it as well as we can, and we have a lot of partner allies that we work with that make the really sub-hunting aspect of the mission not possible without all of our allies out here. There's no other aircraft in the Navy that has the range that we do. We can come down as low as 200 feet, upwards of near 40,000 feet. We can fly for 12 hours or really indefinitely with the capability of aerial refueling. Really, it's just the P-8 is the go-to aircraft for ASW.
What's the standard length of the flights for you guys?
It can be anywhere from 5 hours for like a standard touch and go bounce flight up to 12 hours if we're doing tanking. Typical crew is 9 people, which is really cool because it's kind of a smaller knit unit than most crews have in the Navy. We got 3 pilots, 2 NFOs, which are officers, naval flight officers, who are sitting tactical coordinator and COTAC, and then 4 A-dubs, enlisted air crew. 2 of them are sensor operators for acoustics, and 2 are electronic warfare operators. Right here, it's called the SPID. It's a secondary power distribution system. Basically up here is how you power everything, all the mission systems. It's how you provide electrical power to it. So when you turn it on for mission flights or off for bounce flights.
I saw these bins earlier. You guys actually travel with your chocks, chains.
Oh yeah, yep, put it all on board just in case we got to go somewhere else and need a diver. We have everything on the plane that we need to do that.
Here's where the magic happens, right?
Yep, so these are the MCW. This is the mission station. Some planes have 5, some have 6. It's where all the air crew and the TACOs and COTACs all work together on operating the mission. Sonobuoys are basically kind of what they sound like. They're buoys that we can drop into the water, and they're listening for audiograms that are transmitting throughout the ocean. We have people that are trained to listen to different sounds and identify what they mean, and helps us identify where an undersea submarine could be located at. Back here, the sonobuoys. This is like the coolest part of the P-8.
Yeah.
We carry up to 129 of them. We can load them all up in the wine racks here, is kind of like the colloquial name for them.
Wine racks.
And then we can throw some extra ones in the gray bins if we have a mission that requires more buoys than what we're planning.
Will you guys ever go through all of them on a single flight?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, just spitting them all out. So, and back here is how we launch the sonobuoys. So we got these SRLs, sonobuoy rotary launchers. Each one has like a pressurized interior that can spit out the buoy for automatic disbursement of it. Then we have the single shot launchers, 1 buoy at a time. And then in the way back, it's a free fall chute. So if we don't have pressurization and we need to get something out of the aircraft, this guy pops open, depressurizes the aircraft, and we can spit something out of it.
So that's like the backup system?
Backup.
Wow.
Here in Keflavik, Iceland, this is really the cradle of anti-submarine warfare. We work with so many different partner nations, Norwegians, the Germans, the Belgium, the Dutch, the French come out here, the Brits, the Canadians. All of us kind of work together for that homeland defense of the North Atlantic.
In this video, I'm taking you aboard a submarine, flying in a P-8 Poseidon, and sailing on a warship. So when War Thunder reached out to sponsor this episode, it was a pretty sweet fit. War Thunder is an epic, free-to-play, multiplayer military action game that covers air, land, and sea, from early 20th century machines to today's most advanced combat vehicles. And now, for the very first time, includes our own channel decal that you can use in-game. Download now and slap on the Sam Eckholm decal so everyone knows which squad you roll with. Now, what blows me away is the level of detail. Every vehicle is fully modeled inside and out. If you take a hit to your track, your tank stops. Hit a jet's fuel tank, it lights up. And the X-ray damage effects and explosions are some of the best I've seen in a game. You can fly in your very own fighter jet, sail on a warship, or go all out in a combined arms battle. War Thunder also dropped their new Leviathans update, which brings legendary battleships like the Yamato into the fight, along with modern jets, helicopters, and air defense systems. Just one ask, don't go uploading any classified documents to the forums. We've all seen how that ends. You can use the link in the description below to download War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox. New players, or those returning after 6 months, get a bonus pack with a ton of free items, and this link is also the only way you can get the custom in-game channel decal for yourself as well. And if you're on the go, War Thunder Mobile is now officially available on iOS and Android. Download and play it for free using the link in the description below.
The main capability of the ship is doing air defense and defend the ship and a task group which is sailing around the ship. We are not only able to conduct anti-air operation, but also able to conduct anti-surface operations with the weapon systems on the ship, and able to conduct anti-submarine operations and chase a submarine when needed. We have room for 227 people on board. The biggest part of that 200 people is the crew which we need for this operation.
So Sam, we're now in our hangar. This is built to fit a medium-sized helicopter. Currently have the NH-90 on board. We use it for ASW, so anti-submarine warfare. But we can also use it for just transfer people or just watch around, look around for other ships, and yeah, what's around is like situational awareness built up. So
It's like it never ends. You think you're at the end and you keep going?
No, you're never.
How many levels?
That's actually a good question.
He doesn't even know.
Because that's when you really count the bunker top where we have like the fuel and stuff, and
yeah,
we also have like the big radar mast. So this is where we sleep. This is a pretty spacious room for 2 people as this one, so it all really depends on the rank with what kind of accommodation you have, but for the officers you sleep with 2 or 1 people, so that's pretty luxurious. I would recommend facing to the stairs, climbing down. I don't do that because I live here, but
Is that like the secret passageway to the fitness center?
yeah, I would recommend you guys walk like this because
That's great.
these are crazy stairs.
Okay. So take a look at this. We've covered a few different fitness centers on ships, and this is probably the nicest one. I mean, we've got the Techno Gym equipment here. They've also got another room across the hall here with racks and people having a good time in there. You guys have a nice accommodations.
That's important, and that's something we really care about here. Is just to crew welfare is very important to us.
We have here quite a lot of countries coming together, and they are operating together in this area around Iceland, which is quite a challenging area because of it's quite deep, the depths are large, but also the seas can be quite rough, and you're quite far from land when you're operating towards Norway.
So Sam, welcome on the navigation bridge of the ship. This is the place from where the ship is being steered. Always the best view in the house, I think. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, and how many people are typically up here?
Yeah, usually you have the officer of the watch, lookout, and the helmsman, and that's like the base crew you need to steer and safely navigate ship. But of course, when we're doing procedures, there will be more people here. It's a pretty nice place here, especially when the sun rises.
While the ships, submarines, and aircraft are impressive, it's the people who make Dynamic Mongoose truly come alive. For the crews out here, this isn't just another exercise. It's a chance to put their training to the test. Work side by side with allies from across the globe and make sure they're ready for whatever threat might come next.
All right, clear for booing. Can I get photo arm,
It's the
please?
spirit and camaraderie of these crews that truly defines what Dynamic Mongoose is all about. This is where everything comes together, all the players we've seen thus far converging for the ultimate anti-submarine showdown.
Roerbakken 20.
We are now underway off the coast of Iceland aboard the HN-LMS Trump, and this is not your average warship. It's the flagship of NATO's task group for this year's Dynamic Mongoose exercise. Now, this ship was originally designed for anti-aircraft warfare. However, it's also equipped with a full suite of sensors optimized for anti-submarine warfare as well, which is exactly what we're gonna have the opportunity to witness here this afternoon. It's the perfect platform to see how NATO hunts down enemy submarines, and you and I are about to have as close to a front row seat as it's gonna get.
During Dynamic Mongoose, we are, let's say so, the enemy submarine. Everybody else in this maneuver is trying to find and to catch us, and of course to simulate and engage us. Our mission is, of course, to stay undetected and engage the others, the surface jets, before they can detect us.
It's quite difficult to hunt submarines. You don't know where you have to look for them initially. You have to reduce your search area step by step. And that's why we have in this exercise quite a lot of assets.
So right now we're getting ready for the CASEX, which stands for Coordinated Anti-Submarine Exercise. The German U-33 submarine is going head-to-head against the NATO task group in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse.
Echo is ready for descent.
Copy, clear below, descending now to Angels 2.
Bank angle. Bank angle.
All right, are we good to go? Can we get a clear below?
All right, we're good at this heading now, so it's good for the AIS contact.
Because of how large the North Atlantic is, it would be virtually impossible to rely on surface vessels alone, which is why maritime patrol aircraft like the P-8 Poseidon have become so vital. The aircraft can cover thousands of square miles on a single flight, flying at both high and low altitudes that allows the crew to get precise drops from the sono buoys while also visually looking out to try to spot submarine periscopes on the water below.
So from the pilot side, there aren't many 737 types that are going below 200 feet around there, buzzing low. What's that like for you to be behind the controls? Yeah, coming down low is definitely one of the cooler things we get to do. You probably shock a few fishermen every time you do it because they're not too used to seeing an aircraft that looks like a 737 flying around that low. But it's definitely a capability that we have, and we use it if we need to. But it is pretty cool because you can't use autopilot that low. So it really is just you flying the plane, and you gotta kind of be on the ball, or else just a couple hundred feet you might find yourself near the water, and you don't want to find yourself there. So.
When it comes to dropping sono buoys, big thing I'm looking for is setting up an appropriate pattern, so making sure we have that correct. Also clear below, ensuring there's no vessels underneath us. And then flight, their job is to make sure that we are in the correct altitude limitations. And then as soon as we're ready to go, it's just my job executing a pattern, and then we're good to drop.
What type of data are you getting back from the sono buoy? Like, what are you receiving?
So we're receiving basically what the buoy is hearing. It's basically just a microphone in the water, and it's picking up anything that's in the water. So we can even pick up mammals, we can hear dolphins and shrimp. They're all pretty unique to hear. So pretty much anything that's in the water, we're going to hear it.
So how do you distinguish from sounds that might be a mammal or an actual submarine? Like, who's trained on deciphering that?
So that's actually our acoustic operators. So we have two of them on the board or on the plane, and that is what they're trained to. They have our grams. They're the ones who interpret all of the data that comes up from the sono buoys, and they're the ones that tell me, yep, this is a submarine contact, or no, this is a mammal. We're tracking a whale kind of thing.
Now hold on a second, because I want you to actually hear what these acoustic sensor operators are trained to listen for. This is the sound of a ship passing by. This is the sound of a whale. And that's the sound of a torpedo being launched from a submarine. Now, of course, the exact signature depends on the depth, distance, and where the sono buoys are being dropped, but how incredible is it that someone's entire job is to sit in the back of a P-8 and identify threats just by sound?
It's going to be E9, so you'll see here. So we'll go E, and then we'll go 9, so it's telling us it's this first guy. So we're going to Yankee. A lot of safety features. This has to be down. And then this will lock in there.
From E9, confirm 1.
To spot 1. So I'm confirming right now it's on spot 1.
Yep.
Spot 1.
Okay.
First thing we'll do is we'll move the bandolier handle, put it into the open position. This blade will be forward. It's best to set it in the bottom first. And as you can see, this little bracket will sit under here. So I always use my knees, give it a little wiggle, and now you can see it's not moving, so it's telling me it's set. Lever, yet again, little wiggle, now it's set. Close that, good to go.
All right, are we clear below?
Clear below. That should be clear.
All right, sweet. Family selected in the back. We've got buoy available. All you guys.
Stay in the front. Buoy away. Now.
Well, exercising is important. It's never good enough. There's always margin to improve. And that's basically what we're looking for in the upcoming weeks. And my expectation is that we'll start out all right, but at the end of the exercise, I want us to be brilliant.
So what's the goal when you're in the submarine? Is it to not ever surface? Because then you were saying you can see the drag on the periscope. Like, what are you thinking when you're underneath water?
So basically, to gain intelligence and to gain information, you have to have a periscope up. And you can get acoustic information, you can do intercepts like that. But to get proper information, if you're gathering intelligence, then you need to have a masthead. But you absolutely don't surface the submarine. But the whole point of being the submarine is you've only got that tiny little sensor which you're putting up, and no one can really counter detect you because most of your body is underwater, and it's so difficult to start detecting things underwater, which is why it's such an effective deterrent of having a submarine at sea.
But it's not just the ship at work. Helicopters, like the Lynx Mark 8, are a critical piece of the puzzle. In an environment where every second counts, these helicopters give the task group a massive advantage. They can launch on short notice, fly out to suspected contact points, and lower their sonar directly into the water to hunt for any sign of a sub. The sonar sends back real-time data, which is then relayed to the ship and the rest of the NATO force, allowing them to zero in on a target. It's this kind of teamwork between ships, aircraft, and helicopters that makes exercises like Dynamic Mongoose so valuable. No single platform can do the job alone. It takes coordination, constant communication, and a crew that knows how to adapt, because in the real world, submarines don't wait to be found.
So the next thing we're going to witness is what's called a winch exercise. This is where an Icelandic helicopter is going to hover over the German U-33 submarine, drop down their ropes, and then hoist a crew member all the way up into the helicopter and then back down. Personnel recovery is another huge part of NATO's mission, whether it's rescuing a downed aviator, recovering an injured crew member, or just transferring personnel from ship to ship.
So basically, this is how we get personnel, transfer personnel to and from the submarine in an emergency, or just to get people off for general issues. When you've been flying in a helicopter for a while, you get a build-up of static electricity, and we have to ground the winch as it comes in. And they'll stick up a big yellow pole, which has got a big bit of grounding strap on it, and that will hit the winch so they don't get a massive electric shock.
And you've actually had the opportunity to be winched up. What's that process feel like?
Well, it's slightly painful, but I did it from what's called the radar part of the fin, which is back from the command part of the fin, because obviously it's only when the submarine's on the surface you're actually in there, and it's all very sparse. It's all bare metal. So every time the submarine would requalify in training, they would do the winch practice, but it's basically for an emergency. So it's either a compassionate case or it is a medical case.
There's lots of different countries within NATO, a large group of similarly minded countries, and what we want to do is improve our defense posture.
Our objective is to protect the safe areas against attacks, so that the word safe really means what he says.
We're stronger together, and I think that is the best way to put it.
And we have to be familiar with each other. We have to be interoperable, and you're not going to know if you're interoperable unless you're out there operating together on a day-to-day basis, or at least a pretty consistent basis.
And that can be anything from humanitarian disaster relief right up to crisis and warfighting.
Now, I hope you've enjoyed this exclusive look at the inner workings of the Dynamic Mongoose exercise, none of which would have been possible without the amazing teamwork from everyone involved. Everyone here at Team NATO has been an absolute pleasure to work with from all of the participating countries, and I hope you guys have enjoyed coming along with us for this journey.
So, what a week. From touring a German submarine, flying in a P-8 Poseidon, and sailing with NATO's flagship, I'm reminded of the incredible hard work from sailors, pilots, and crew, all working together to keep an area as important as the North Atlantic secure. Dynamic Mongoose is more than just a war game. It's a rehearsal for a war we hope never comes, and a reminder of how important trust and cooperation are in today's world. I can't help but feel grateful for the opportunity we had to witness it all firsthand, and I hope you enjoyed coming along for the ride with me on this one.